The Sixers picked up the sharpshooter they needed and Buddy Hield, but they lost a lot of toughness. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On podcast system. You're here every day. So what's up? My name is Keith Pompey. I'm with my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We're the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers.
What's up, y'all?
Got a lot to talk about. Yeah, while he's saying what's up, y'all, I'm like being rude and all this.
That's all right. That's all right. You from Frankfurt, man. Y'all rude folks.
Yeah, I know, right? But look, but here's the deal. The trade they made yesterday was a trade deadline day. The thing is, they needed like a shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people may have argued they needed another ball handler, right? But the real biggest thing that they needed was a center.
Yeah,
they needed a dominant center. There was two centers who were available. One was Andre Drummond, and the other one was Kelly Olynyk. Sixers didn't do anything in regards to that. But here's the deal. They got, to me personally, with them picking up Buddy Hield from, which ended up being a 3-team trade, with them picking him up from Indiana, it made them marginally better. They got the shooter, they got all this other stuff, but they lost a lot. Like the trade that they made when they traded Patrick Beverley to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for Payne, so they basically switched out backup point guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to sources, I was told that was because what they're doing is they're basically going to bring in. They believe they can get another guard, and that guard is going to be a point guard, and everybody thinks it's going to be Kyle Lowry. So mm-hmm. It's one of those things where you're creating space for him. But overall, Mitch, I'm gonna be real with you. When I woke up this morning and was thinking about this trade, I'm questioning if they got any better.
Mm-hmm.
I just am. Now, a lot of it to me is going to depend on what you can get from the buyout market, but I'm hopeful that they can get a lot for them because, it wasn't underwhelming, but outside the Buddy Hield move, it was to me. It was just slashing salary, it seemed like.
Yeah, I think they did fulfill their need with the 3-point shooter. I mean, you got to give them credit for bringing in Buddy Hield.
No doubt.
You give him credit for being 22nd in NBA history. He's made about 1,800 3-pointers, and he shoots it at 40%. And he's shooting it well this year. He's 8th in the league from threes. But they kind of do appear to be doggy paddling. They're trying to keep their heads above water. Like you said, I don't think anybody woke up this morning saying the 76ers roster is now ready to charge back up into contention for a top 3 spot in the Eastern Conference. You definitely don't have that. You have a team. You figure Buddy Hield will help them spread the floor. But who's he spreading the floor for? You got Tyrese, Tobias, Kelly Oubre. And as you touched on, they've lost some toughness. And we kind of talked offline. I think toughness sometimes is a little bit overrated, man. This team has lost 7 of 8 games, man. It's not like, any of those guys who were on that roster with Mike Tyson, and if a fight broke out somewhere, you'd be like, I'm with this guy. You know what I mean? But you will miss a guy like Marcus Morris, and Pat Bev. Pat Bev kind of fit that Philly mold, and I mean, he did have some games where, that Boston game where where he did step up and make contributions. For what he's guy was on a minimum salary, and became well liked here in Philly. But I think the Buddy Hield thing is, if Joel and if that big F that we always live with, if Joel Embiid can come back this year, or can he entice him to re-sign? Can he, Buddy Hield be enticed to re-sign with the Sixers next year? Yeah, they're still kind of in the same place. They're not better defensively, and they've been, teams have been putting up points on them lately. So they're kind of right where they were. They're kind of right where they were at the beginning of the whole trade flurry, and the trade right before the trade deadline. And again, everything they do seems to point to what they might be in the future. But for now, they're still a bad team that's lost 7 of their last 8 basketball games, and it's on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah. The thing is, when I talk about the toughness is because when we think about it, like a couple of years ago when they lost to two seasons ago, they lost to the Miami Heat in the second round, and the going theme was we got to get tougher.
Right.
Get tougher. If you notice, this whole thing is like a circle, like a cycle.
Yeah.
And so what it is like before they wanted to get tougher, what was it? It was we got to get shooters, right? We got to get shooters. So then
you're depressing me, man. You're depressing people.
No. So we got to get shooters. So who are the shooters that they had? They had Danny Green, and they had Seth Curry, right? Son-in-law. I used to call him son-in-law.
And they couldn't play defense. And they couldn't play defense.
But they couldn't play defense. So I mean, Danny got injured and all this and that.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those things where, like, they needed to get or they had to get rid of Seth to get Harden and all this and that, right? So they they got rid of these dudes, but then it was one of those things where it was one where they basically are like, we gotta get tougher. So what happens is they go out, they get PJ Tucker, they get D House, they get these guys, and they supposed to bring the toughness.
Right.
Then next year, as part of just to get rid of Harden, they go out there and they bring in, Marcus Morris. They signed Patrick Bev in the offseason. So finally, the toughness that they wanted, they got.
Right.
Now,
right.
If your team is getting blown out, toughness really helps when y'all in close games when you can get in somebody's face. But if y'all getting blown out, yapping ain't going to do anything, right?
Right.
So, but my thing is, it just seems like it's a cycle, like because this is something that you really wanted, and now when you look at this team, who's going to be there that people like. See, when you go and you play against Pat Bev, people are like, man, I ain't messing with him. He a fool. Like this dude get on my nerves, even if you're scared of him or not. Like he just annoys you to a point you don't want to be bothered. Like it becomes a mental game. Marcus Morris doesn't say too much enough. It doesn't say a man a few words. I'll say that. But at the same time, but nobody messed with him. They just look like, yo, that brother from North Philly, like he one of them Philly cats. We ain't messing with him.
Yeah.
You look at Jaden Springer, guy they got rid of. Man, like he just locked down 2 all-stars, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna tell you another low-key tough dude. Don't nobody mess with him. So my thing is, it's one of those things where they got rid of all of them, and I get it. You got the shooter, but you got rid of these dudes. So we got to figure it out. And then here's the thing about that whole trade. See, it came out later that it was a 3-team trade, but at first they were saying that it was between the Sixers and Indiana. So what the Sixers did is they gave up Marcus, they gave up they gave up Furkan, and they gave up 3 draft picks, right? And they gave cash, right? 1.5 million for Buddy Hield. So you're like, all right, that's the guy they wanted. Okay, right. They did that. Well, then the Pacers in turn flipped one of those draft picks, and Marcus to the Spurs for Doug. I'm like, hold up. So you mean to tell me they basically said, we don't want him. We're going to get Doug McDermott, but y'all going to give us this draft pick to help us get it.
Right,
so right. But then as it came out, it was like they said it was a 3-team trade. But so those are some of my questions. Like, I was like, wow, don't tell me they got hoes. You know, they don't tell me they got hoes. But it is what it is. But look, we got to break down this Jaden Springer stuff when we get back from this quick read. I want to talk about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked for us in this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Pick of the Week. You know who I'm going with, man?
Who's that, Keith?
I'm going with Ben Mandarin. Buddy Hield. Now that Buddy Hield is with the Sixers, this could mean more minutes for Mandarin. And I think that he's a pretty good player, nice young talent. I like the way he plays. I think that right now, like, he's going to get in there and he's going to take advantage of the opportunities and explode, right? Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and NBA Motors knows a championship team about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle, right? So, a question for y'all. What is your dream ride? What's a memory of a car you love? Do you remember a time that you had to fix the car to keep it running, or a cool upgrade you really wanted? With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, look at these prices. You're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, the thing is, like, we talked about the whole Jaden Springer thing, and I get it. Jaden Springer's a guy, like, I think they've been trying to, team wasn't getting a lot of play at first, this and that. His shooting isn't up to par. But the last 2 games, which I guess turned out to be showcase games, but they actually needed them to play, he played great. Yeah. I mean, he shut down Luka. Luka wanted no parts of him, Luka Doncic. And then Steph Curry couldn't get a bucket until half the third quarter against him. Like, he shut him out. He was right. Or field goalers. So the thing is, it's one of those things where that was a little bit of a head scratcher to me. Mm-hmm. Now, what it do? It does free up flexibility for him, but it was a head scratcher because I just didn't understand it, man. I mean, because of this guy could be a young player that you have that you can develop, who can be a solid defender, homegrown, turning out to possibly being a steal, and you got rid of him.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of, in a way, of the whole Matisse Thybulle thing. You know, a guy who played defense, and a guy you said, well, the 76ers can develop him. You know, he brings toughness. Even as a young 21-year-old player, Springer brought toughness, and Matisse brought a degree of toughness. And now, you know, it's like you develop him. And granted, he was playing because he had to play. But what people did get a chance to see was a guy, you know, I mean, how many times have we seen him, you know, chase down somebody and block their shot, you know, to get up in somebody's chest? So he's got the traits. He's got the traits that you want to see in a player, especially a young player. He looks hungry. You know, he looks hungry. And yeah, that was a head scratcher to me, because I mean, yeah, it gives him some more flexibility, but how much more flexibility is that giving them? You know, you would like to see an organization get a guy, bring him up through their system, and develop him into a player. Now he's in a situation now with Boston, so he, you know, he'll learn a lot there. You know, and you know, you won't be expecting to see him because of the depth of that roster. It's a championship roster. And you know, but here he was starting to get some floor time, and who knows how much more floor time he would have gotten this year, and how much better he may have gotten. You just don't know. I think this team just tends to give up on younger players a little too soon. You know, and he's the latest example.
Yeah, I mean, you know, his $4 million comes off the books for next year because they picked that up. But it's like you said, it's that Matisse, the same thing. It's just you need defensive-minded guys. Like, I think that he could fill in and help protect. He could have been somebody that could have protected Tyrese Maxey. You know what I mean? Yeah. On the dirty stuff on him. But hey, look, he gained confidence. He may be a champion, man, NBA champion this year.
Good for him.
And like the thing about them is their bench is weak. They're upgrading it a little bit. So I can see where, like you said, he's probably not going to get a lot of minutes. But what he will get is he'll get opportunities to go in there and just be disruptive at times. You know, make the game ugly, get in people up in people's skin. And my thing is, I'm not really big on trading people to your arch rival either. Like, you know, like that motivation factor. But, you know, more power for him. You know, if once he gets that shot down, he's going to be good. But for him, it's just the confidence thing. I think he gets that, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what's your thoughts on Payne? You a fan?
You know, as much as I kind of like Pat Bev, and I kind of like Pat Bev's personality, I do like Pat Bev's toughness. I mean, but let's be honest. They got, you know, Payne is a better shooter. So you bring him in here, and so he's a better shooter than Pat Bev. Although Pat Bev just shot us on some nights when he shot the ball well from 3 this year. But yeah, and he's younger. He's bounced around a bit, but I think actually think it's a marginal upgrade, to be honest. You know, I think he's a guy who can, you can put him at the point some. You know, he's another guy behind, you know, if they bring him along right, you know, it's okay. You bring this guy in here, cultivate the talent that he has. He's not a spring chicken to the league, but let's do something with him. Let's see him on the floor. And I suspect we will see him on the floor unless they do something big on the buyout market. So I like that move. Again, I didn't want to see Pat Bev go because, you know, we've been watching a mediocre basketball team for the last 2.5 weeks now, going on 3 weeks. And, you know, Pat Bev provided a spark in some of these blowouts, you know, that they've been experiencing. I mean, blowout losses they've absorbed. So, but, you know, I understand it. I'm not for it, but I understand it. I understand bringing in younger, longer, better shooter. I get all that.
Yeah, he's going to provide depth if you have, if Kyle Lowry comes or if you get somebody else. He'll probably be, a third guard or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Second, because I don't even know, we got to figure out when D Melt comes back, the Anthony Melton, what they do
I'm
with
almost,
him.
I'm almost forgotten about him, Key.
Yeah, he's supposed to come back. He's supposed to, they want to give him a couple games before the All-Star break. I guess it didn't get everything. He wanted to come back last week, and I guess he wasn't up to par. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, they want to give him a couple games before the stretch, before the All-Star break, right? So we'll see how that one goes. We'll definitely check that out. But look, I want to talk to y'all about Nissan. All right, are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventures could be around the next corner? Or our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with capabilities that take your adventure to the next level. First one I want to talk about is the Nissan Rogue, right? It's perfect for the city drives and for great escapes. Class exclusive, built in, and you're always updating assistant to call for almost everything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play stores are built right into the 12.3-inch HD home screen system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your adventure. Now I want to talk to y'all about the Armada. See, the Armada is a great car, especially the 2024 one. Will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Two bigger and explore further with the 2024 Armada. So now what you do is you take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, and Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. I'm gonna send my man John after you.
I'm a Nissan guy myself.
Yeah.
Nissan guy.
Okay. So maybe they need to hook us up, right?
I'm a Maxima guy.
Okay. Well, they want to sell that. You better get a Pathfinder, boy. You better upgrade. They want to get them SUVs.
Yeah.
Fix them, but the Pathfinder. I mean, the Maxima is the joint.
Gas is reasonable, so I go with the SUV.
Yeah. So, John, tonight, man, they play the Atlanta Hawks. It's one of those things where, it's like it's weird. Like, right now, if things could change by tonight, then the Sixers don't have to shoot around this morning, but I do expect Buddy Hield and all them to, arrive today. You expect that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You expect them to arrive today, get adjusted, meet people, the whole nine. According to the press releases, the trades are official for them. But at the 6:30 injury report this morning, it said that the trades were still pending.
Okay.
And they're out because of that. So when you think of that, so you got those guys out. And I think before we came on air, they only have 7 available regular contract players for tonight because of Joel Embiid's going to be out, D'Anthony Melton's out, Nico Batum's out, the 2 Buddy Hield campaign is out, and so is Robert Covington. So they got 7 guys on their full-time roster. Now, they do have 3 two-way players in Turk Smith, Ricky Council, and Kenny Lofton. So those 3 are going to be included. So they got 10 guys available. This ain't what you want to do going up against a game. And like your team is free falling right about now. You got a 3-game losing streak. You lost 7 to 8. In this type of situation. Yeah. It's tough. Like it's tough.
Yeah, like you said, they've lost 7 of 8. They got a 3-game losing streak, and they're bringing in guys who, who are just not NBA regulars. And I mean, I could very well see 7 of 8 turning into 8 of 9 tonight. I mean, the one thing for Sixers fans, you look at some of the younger players who were the two-way guys, but beyond that, during this recent stretch where they've lost 7 of 8, I mean, they haven't been able to stop anybody, Keith. People are just running by them. I mean, the Pacers, the Blazers, and the Nets all scored 130 points or more against them. And in 5 of those games, out of their last 8, the Sixers have scored 107 points or less. So, this could be one. This could look like one of those offensively, that they might struggle to get to 85 points tonight, 85, 90 points. So, you never know. You never know who might show up under these circumstances. But, so many times at trade deadline, this is what teams look like. You're running bodies out there because you're waiting for the cavalry to arrive. But you're right. This is not in this situation with the All-Star break coming up and after trade deadline. This is one, when you look at the schedule, you say, okay, I'm in Atlanta. It's at home on a Friday. I should be able to get them. But, Trae Young can have his way out there tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy part is, if you're Trae Young, this is a game that if I'm him, I'm motivated because he gonna be like, yo, guess what?
Yeah,
I'm going up against Maxey. Maxey got All-Star and I didn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I'm gonna be motivated. Like I mean, and not to say that Maxey can't match it, but he can. But what I'm saying, because Maxey could play, he's been in the struggle lately. But I'm saying this team is coming in here trying to prove something. This guy is coming here trying to prove something. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
Atlanta's going to play them the same way. They're going to blitz Maxey and let Trae at the other end, do as he feels.
Yeah. And then you might have DeJounte Murray saying, what you mean y'all didn't want to come get me? I'm going to give y'all the business too.
Well, you know how I feel about that.
Bad matchup.
Yeah,
that's your boy. That's your boy. But this is a bad matchup, man, for the Sixers right about now. This is a bad matchup. I mean,
yeah. And the schedule's not getting much easier this month. They got some ugly ones coming up. So whatever represents the cavalry for them, it needs to arrive swiftly.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to arrive swiftly. We'll see. We'll see. It's just tough time, man. It's tough. But the good thing is they got Washington tomorrow. So with them having Washington tomorrow.
But they're Washington right now. The Sixers are Washington right now. I hear you. But they're Washington right now.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy, man? That's the thing that people don't realize about the NBA season. And I ain't gonna lie, I got caught up a little bit this year. I've been covering this team forever. And I always said myself, I'm not gonna get excited or overhype a regular season.
Yeah.
But this year, man, Joel was doing some phenomenal things. I'm looking at the new coach and Nick Nurse, and I'm saying to myself, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And now all of a sudden you're looking at it like, oh my, what the heck happened? You know what I mean? It's like
what's funny, Keith, I could actually see it in your writing, bro. I was like, man, because you got a reputation as being, people say, oh, here comes Pompey to poo-poo on the 76ers. But you were calling Joel Embiid the best player on the planet. You were saying that in so many ways there's been an upgrade at the coach. And you were starting to show some optimism, man. I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like the old Grizzle reporter I've been reading for years now.
Yeah, I was tricked. I was bamboozled.
You were bamboozled, bro.
Nah, man, you know, you saw it. Like, you
Rock
saw it.
landed on you.
Yeah, Plymouth Rock landed on me. Yeah, exactly. Yo, but yeah, I was yeah, they got me. I mean, it is what it is. But you know what? I did think it was a good. I mean, dude, like 9-0 with when everybody was up. Now again, that's a small sample size.
Yeah.
But 10-2 with the starting lineup that they have, it's yeah. I was hoodwinked.
We all thought he would be happy. We the one thing we compartmentalized was the reality that Joel just is not a healthy dude.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the one thing we chose not to look at.
Yeah, we did. But so if you choose to look at the game or not tonight or not, make sure you come back to us this weekend to get the recap, right? For early next Monday, to get the recap of what goes on tonight and the next game and some stuff on Buddy Hield and all that. But we want to thank y'all for listening. We really do. We want y'all to have a blessed day. We want y'all to have a blessed weekend. And you just know that you can get Locked On 76ers wherever you get your podcast at. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast and on our YouTube channel. So have a great weekend, y'all. Peace.
Go Chiefs.
Boo!